Welcome back everyone. Okay, so I have a question for you all. Have you ever taken a good look at that pint-sized, spiky grey-haired, overly muscular, loudmouth kid and said, I want to know more about him? No one? No one? Really? Well, let's pack it up guys. You have no interest in this. I'm gonna delete this video. Guess we gotta go back to the Boruto anime reviews.
Got it!
Oh, you stayed? Good, because we're about to tell you everything you need to know about the little old short guy named Asta. These are things that are pivotal in explaining Asta's character, some of which you may know depending on how knowledgeable you are on the Black Clover series, and some may surprise you. But before we go balls deep, however, we'd appreciate you taking the time to like this video and letting us know what other kind of videos you like to see on Black Clover, and consider subscribing as it's a series we discuss regularly on this channel and we have a blast doing it. Anyway, without further ado, let's cue the intro.
You don't fuck with neck, bro.
But before we go balls deep, we'd like to thank our sponsors Amino, who some of you might recognize by now. I don't know what that voice is, don't ask me guys. But Amino is a platform where one can actually build their own community, and guess what? They have a whole anime section, along with more dedicated communities for specific anime, even Black Clover for example. But most importantly, Amino added a new story feature where anyone can post short stories and leave it on there to stay. We are actually planning to use this feature to post exclusive edits and clips which will be related to some of our future topics that we will be covering on this channel. We went ahead and posted a story on Asta's harem and our top 5 picks, and I know a lot of you want us to cover and break down these relationships, so make sure to check it out and show us support by being part of the exclusive Anime Balls Deep Amino squad and follow us on there. You know, it wouldn't be a proper things you didn't know about video if we didn't start with Asta's name and conception on this channel. So let's dive deep into that. So we all know Asta is one of the most manly characters in all of Black Clover, next to Yami of course. But the name Asta is actually more commonly given to girls, and in Greek it can be translated to mean star-like and divine strength, which is fitting because in the Black Clover one-shot, Asta's last name was Staria, although in the final version of the story it appears his last name is entirely absent, and he's also known for his overwhelming physical strength. So in the future of Black Clover, it might be revealed that Tabata will use the original one-shot name by revealing Asta's last name to be Staria as a plot device, maybe to explain his heritage or his blood lineage or his family name, so his name will then be Asta Staria. And Asta's name is also said to be derived from that of a demon named Astaroth, who in demonology is the great duke of hell in the first hierarchy with Beelzebub and Lucifer. He is part of the evil trinity. Astaroth is a male figure most likely named after the Mesopotamian. Astaroth is a male figure most likely named after the Mesopotamian. Oh my god, I can't pronunciate this right. I've tried this 50 times guys, but you guys get the point. He's based off the goddess Ishtar. But as hard as it is to believe that his name is based on a demon and Lucifer, since Asta is so kind and whatnot, this may be the reasoning for Asta's demon relation and the fact that his black form resembles that of a devil itself. So moving swiftly to design and concept, as far as his conception goes, he actually came into existence as an opposite to Yuno. Tabata's first manga, Hungry Joker, ran in Shonen Jump for about 24 chapters before being axed and cancelled, forced to end early of course. So one of the biggest complaints readers had is that they just didn't like Haji, the main character, very much, as he seemed too calm and very boring. So with Black Clover, he switched things up and models Yuno's personality after Haji from Hungry Joker, while making Asta the exact opposite, aside from his ambitions of course. However, this was not hard to do because Yuki Tabata has admitted that out of all of the characters in Black Clover, Asta is the most like him, and it's safe to say Asta was probably influenced by Tabata himself. Speaking of Asta and Yuno, by the way, Yuno's last name in the one shot is Crossley, and when you put the two together you get Staria Crossley, which sounds like star cross, which means bad luck. Asta and Yuno have bad luck. Asta doesn't have no mana. Also, when you look at their panels side by side, the star and the cross standing together, this can't be a coincidence guys, it simply can, because it literally represents their characters and the bad luck starting off with no parents or status. Now, in terms of design, at this point, we're all accustomed to the way Asta looks, but what if I told you he didn't look like this all the time? In fact, he went through many changes before his final design was given the green light. In his initial design, he appeared to not have a headband and had less of a cheery natural expression, while he seemed to be more like the character Haji from Hungry Joker. Something about him just didn't resonate with fans. So in the final design, Tabata shaped things up and made him look more naturally happy. Tabata found that a positive looking protagonist can make all the difference. However, making Asta look too nice can be more of a problem than a benefit, which could be to what led him to create Black Asta, the anti-magic form that homes in on others' mana and eradicates it. It also dramatically increases his speed, strength and combat ability, by the way, but most importantly, it looks dark and sinister and makes him look like a devil, someone that people would be scared of. I mean, but this Black Asta form only covers about half of his body, which could be a symbolic meaning to what Asta is himself, just more of a badass. When he transforms into his black mode, he grows a wing on the right side of his back and a bullhorn on the right side of his head, and his entire right side is engulfed with blackness. Now, this isn't confirmed, but it's likely that this was inspired by Guts from Berserk, as there were many other things about Asta and Black Clover as a whole. It seems very Berserk-like and it has a fantasy genre. So Tabata has admitted that he's a big fan of the Berserk manga, so it all seems to add up. For example, the Demon Slayer sword may be a reference to the Dragon Slayer from the manga Berserk. Both swords are very overly large and heavy and wielded by the main characters. Let's talk about Asta's magic now. So one of the most unique things about Asta is that he was born without magic. We all know this, right? It's a shock to no one at this point, and if it's still a shock to you, I don't know what the hell you're watching. But what may be just a little bit more surprising is that he actually does have magic, fam. It's common knowledge that Asta possesses anti-magic. That's still a form of magic which allows him to cancel out or fire back any kind of magic thrown at him. For a while, we all assumed that this was a perk of having no magic, but my man is drawing a sword out of thin air. What classifies as magic these days? Every time a mage uses their grimoire, they say flame magic, water magic, or you know me, balls deep prediction magic, of course. And along with the name of the spell they're using, right? You guys get the point. Anti-magic may sound separate from everything else, but it follows all the same principles any other kind of magic would. The grimoire enhances the user's ability, which Asta's did for him, and it gives them different spells that they can use at will, which he has. This is still up for debate, but it's plausible to say Asta has a type of magic and therefore is not magicless, like the series has led us to believe. Now, this brings up the theory that many people have that Asta has anti-magic because it's been confirmed that the demon that he has in his grimoire is from another world, another dimension. So it could be possible that the reason Asta can wield anti-magic swords is that he is from another world but was born in the Clover Kingdom. If you want to keep up to date with us with my theories, my analysis on Black Clover, make sure to smash the notification button and also tune in on Saturdays as we cover the manga on a weekly basis. Okay, now let's talk about Asta's ancient grimoire. So we all know what grimoire do at this point, right? If you don't, I think you need to get some therapy. Well, we explain it in further detail in this video right here. Go check it out after you've done watching this one, but I'll summarize this video for you. But if you want balls deep analysis, go watch it. But grimoire enhance their users' magic and give them access to new spells, sometimes during moments of great realization or emotional breakthrough. Grimoire unite with their wielders when they turn 15 years old, and no one really knows when they originated. However, grimoire are still a very big mystery, all things considered, but we do know they existed in real life. Grimoire is a real concept, even if it's not quite the way the anime depicted it. There's a lot of inspirations that Tabata has taken. Grimoire in real life obviously can't do all the flashy stuff we watch on a weekly basis, but they're very real and a lot darker than they made out to be. One grimoire that more so matches the real genuine article would be Asta's 5-leaf grimoire of despair. Now, this grimoire has a strong demon related heritage, being overwhelmed with demonic influence, and it even holds one inside of it, for God's sake. Although it was once a 4-leaf and used for good, it now is but a mere shell of what it used to be. After 500 years, it finally found itself in the hands of someone pure of heart, but it became evil because the devil went inside, and it's now used for good in the Clover Kingdom once again. Now, this is not confirmed, but it would make a logical sense to assume grimoire are brought into existence when the user are born and it's attached to them. But in Asta's case, his grimoire isn't actually his grimoire, or at least it didn't used to be. The real interesting thing about it, however, is that the 5-leaf didn't disappear when the user Licht died who owned it, right? That's what happens to every grimoire at the end, is that when the wielder, the person that is linked to the grimoire, dies, the grimoire disappears too. But the 5-leaf is the exception. Surely Asta is not immortal, so this means when he one day passes on, let's say Asta dies one day, the Grimoire will go to someone else, and the amount of possibilities is endless. Okay, now let's talk about Black Clover and Asta's history. Now we are all just wondering how the hell did Yuki Tabata make a smash hit manga that is Black Clover, right? And how he manages to do this on every week basis, keeping the quality and consistency both in artwork and storytelling. Is he getting tips from Oda fan because that guy's a machine? Is he just naturally a manga king? Maybe, we just don't know. But he opened up in interviews about the process behind each chapter and what his schedule is like, as well as what he's had to go through and the changes he had to do to adapt and in order to survive as a mangaka, and the whole harsh environment that the industry is in, and how he can relate to his characters. Is really emotional. So when Team Jump asked him if you could speak to Asta, what advice would you give him? He responded by saying, "Oh geez, advice? I feel like he's a better person than me, so he should be giving me advice. Maybe I tell him that if he really wants to win over Sister Lily, maybe he shouldn't be so aggressive." A fictional character giving his non-fictional creator advice? That's a new one. But with all of Tabata's experience, he may not even need any advice according to this little interview segment he's adapted well over time. So Tabata Sensei says, "At the beginning of the Black Clover release, I only slept 3 hours a night because I was a little stressed, and since the adaptation is animated right, he can relax a little. So currently he now sleeps 6 hours a night, but that's okay." Brother, I thought you're supposed to sleep at least 8 hours. This guy was getting 3 hours. So he says, "The problem is that I have not taken vacation for 3 years on top of that, and that being a mangaka is a hard job." Yuki Tabata was asked what was the first ever manga that inspired him that he read, and he said, "It's Dragon Ball. When I was a little boy in nursery, I discovered Toriyama's manga through the animated TV show, and then later when I learned to read, I realized this anime was actually adapted from manga, and that behind these manga there was a job, and I knew right away it was exactly what I wanted to do later on when I grew older as a career." And just like that, a new legend was born. Not to imply the two manga are exactly comparable, but it's nice to see Toriyama Sensei inspire so many different people and giving birth to a whole new generation of mangaka. But it's not just a brand new story that was born that day, but the unending drive to end an impossible job as well. Tabata was asked what his weekly schedule is like, and here's what he had to tell Team Jump. The first 2 or 3 days of a week, he discusses with his editor to the continuation to give the series, and then he writes a script, and that usually takes him 2 to 3 days as well, and then he has to draw the storyboard, 19 of them, and he has very little time because, you know, he has to allow himself to sleep for God's sake. And this is the schedule that he has all the time, and then that's why he took a break last week. He takes a break quite often. So the next question is, how did Black Clover get created? Well, at the time, Tabata wanted to do a fantasy story, and since Hungry Joker flopped, his friends advised him to create a character that looks a little like him. So at the time, he doubted himself a lot, but he created Black Clover and he wanted to show his publisher, and although his publisher wasn't really convinced, he was like, "What is this trash?" He still decided to launch the series. So after pre-publication of his one-shot, he changed his editor, and that's how it ended up in Shonen Jump. But Tabata goes on to say that this job in Shonen Jump is very destabilizing, but it's also refreshing. Anyways guys, I hope you found this interesting. You have now learned how Black Clover was created, how my man Asta was made, and make sure to smash that like button. Follow us on social media such as Twitter or Instagram. And I'm really tired right now. This video was really hard to do, so I hope you appreciate that, and yeah, see you guys next time.